I genuinely hate filming negative videos, and I hope that this is not going to come across as complaining, because the main idea and the main purpose of this video is just to give you guys a warning. So I really hope that at least some of you are going to find my experiences helpful. And I'm also fully aware that a lot of the things that I'm going to say are going to sound like common sense. But please, let's leave negative comments like "you should have been doing this all along" to ourselves, because we're all human. We can make mistakes. All we can do is learn from them. I most certainly did, but I'm willing to put myself out there, because if it helps even just one person, that's a good enough reason for me to be filming this. So, the topic of the day is selling our luxury designer items. I have personally mainly sold my items on one website. And the truth is, it is not by choice. It is simply because here in the EU, we don't really have a lot of other safe alternatives on where to sell designer items. Now, I have sold quite a few items on that website, and for a while, everything was running smoothly until last year I ran into a very weird issue. Twice. In the beginning of last year, I sold something from Chanel, and I had not sold anything from Chanel for quite some time. So unfortunately, I can't really pinpoint on when this issue started happening. Whenever I sell absolutely anything, I always include all the packaging. So in the case of Chanel, we're talking about a box, a ribbon, camellia, dust bags, care cards, absolutely everything that comes with the purchase. This usually means that the likeliness of selling my item is just slightly higher than without the packaging, and I also think that it makes the price seem a little bit more attractive, just because you're getting the boutique experience. Well, in a sense, because you're not shopping from the boutique directly, but when you receive it beautifully packaged, I think that it makes the whole experience just a little bit more luxurious. Now, this particular website has two shipping options when checking out. The first option is when you receive it directly from the seller, which means that the seller ships it and it goes to your address. The second option, however, is to use their authentication services, which means that in this case, the seller will ship it to their offices, where they will check the authenticity, and if it's going to be deemed authentic, then it's going to be shipped to you. In this specific case, the buyer had chosen authenticated shipping, which is absolutely my preference due to my own security, because if the item is being shipped directly, you can see the returns address, and I'm not 100% comfortable with that. So I always prefer authenticated shipping. So then I packed and shipped the item as per usual, but then a few days later, I received an email from the company with a quality report stating that the item they received is not the same as the item in the listing. And I'm already internally panicking, because I never lie on these listings. There's simply no point to lying on those listings, because whoever receives it, either it's the authentication team or the buyer directly, whoever receives it, and if the item is not as described, they are not going to accept it, because why should they? And then there's going to be a whole mess of like shipping things back, and like I don't have time for that. But then I opened the quality report, and there is a red dot on the camellia, basically suggesting that it was missing from the package. Now, I have always filmed the packaging process, like every single time I film the packaging process, but only if it's shipped directly to the buyer. I was so naive in thinking that I shouldn't bother filming the packaging process when it's being shipped directly to the company. I was honestly so angry at myself that I didn't film it, at them, that they had lost it. But anyway, in a situation like this, the company informs the buyer of the current state of the item, and now the buyer has two options. They can either choose to accept it in the current state, or they can choose to cancel the order completely, which, to be fair, is completely reasonable, especially in the cases where the item differs completely from the images on the listing. However, in this case, I was sure that I had included the whole set. Sometimes there are cases when you do something so automatically that you can't remember if you included something or not. This was not the case. Like, I knew that I had included that camellia, which is why I immediately contacted the customer service, and they told me that they're going to start an investigation process. After like a day, they sent me a picture, which I'm guessing was a screenshot from the security camera, of a person opening the package and claimed that there was no camellia there. It was a picture from a very bad angle and you could barely see anything. But at that point, it didn't matter anymore because the buyer had accepted the order, even without the camellia. And it was a relief. However, I learned that I have to film the packaging process every single time, no exceptions. Now, fast forward a few months, and I sold something else from Chanel. In between these two sales, I had sold other items by different designers and I didn't experience any issues. Nothing went missing or anything. But of course, I still filmed all the packaging process just as a precaution. Once again, it was a full set and I made sure that I got everything on video, especially the camellia. I shipped the item and then 2 days later I received another quality report. And guess what? It is the exact same story as the last time. A quality report which included a picture from my listing with a red dot on the camellia. Like, you can't make this up. And now this time I was furious because now they are damaging my credibility as a seller. Once again, I contacted the customer service, explained the situation, told them that I have the whole packaging process on video. However, sending the video to them turned out to be a whole other process. And by the time I managed to send the video to them, the buyer had already accepted the item as is without the camellia, which was once again a relief. However, it could have really gone either way because if the buyer had chosen to refuse the item, I would be left with two options. Either they update the listing themselves and keep the item in their offices until it sells, or they send it back to me without the complete packaging. And in this case, as small of a thing as it seems, it is still straight up theft. And the fact that it happened twice, the only two Chanel items that I sold in 2023, and both of them magically lost their camellias, I mean, that is no longer a coincidence. There is literally a person or persons who are deliberately stealing from sellers' packages and are not facing any consequences. And now that, to me, is really scary because it's a camellia right now, but what is it going to be the next time? A dust bag? And I can honestly say that I no longer feel comfortable selling anything by Chanel on this particular website. I still have one more Chanel item listed on that website that I haven't removed. And you know what? Honestly, I am now genuinely curious if it's going to happen for a third time. And if it does, I will update you in the comments because that would be absolutely crazy. But until that item sells, I will definitely not upload anything from Chanel on this particular website because I'm simply scared now. And they have also not given me any updates regarding this situation, on whether they managed to find the camellia, because at the end of the day, I did send them actual evidence that I did tag the camellia. So where is it? You know? But at this point, I think it's pretty safe to assume that the buyer received the item without the camellia. Overall, I am very, very disappointed with this situation because, like I said before, in the EU, we don't really have a lot of alternatives to this website, and they basically have a monopoly over the EU market. So at this particular moment, I don't really have a lot of other alternatives on where to sell my designer items. Also, I had never had any bad experiences until 2023, so I don't know what happened in their offices during 2023, but let this be a reminder to all of you guys that you have to document the packaging process. It is so important. I don't know how things would have ended if the buyer had rejected the item and I had the proof of filming the packaging process with the camellia. Like, what would have they done in that case? Would they have just stolen someone else's camellia? Or maybe they wouldn't have offered any solution at all. They would just ignore the evidence and ship it back to me without the camellia. And what am I going to do? Sue them over a paper camellia? Anyway, I'm getting distracted now. My point is, document everything, no matter how small and insignificant it seems. document everything, because we shouldn't be gifting these companies anything, not a single euro and not a single paper camellia. Actually, I was talking about this with my husband and we were both so confused because that Chanel paper camellia, it doesn't even have a logo on it. So whoever is stealing them, they have some serious issues. And I think I'll stop here. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that you found it helpful. I hope I'll see you in my next one. And if you have had any similar experiences, please share them in the comment section below. So guys, beware and stay safe.